Hey guys, I'm back as promised. So this week, Congress impeached Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas. What I find ridiculous about this is the simple fact that they impeached him over an immigration issue that's been an issue for as long as I can remember, anyway, even when I was a kid back in the 70s. That's several Republican and Democratic administrations that everybody says could have resolved this. And then you had Donald Trump come along and say he was going to put up a wall to keep immigrants out of the United States. And in theory, that sounded like a great idea. But the problem with a wall is it's a fixed fortification. And nowhere in the history of man has any fixed fortification ever worked. They've all been breached at some point. Israel had a fixed fortification wall set up in between the time before the October 7th attacks, and Hamas managed to breach that. And now we're where we're at with Gaza. The issue, according to the Department of Homeland Security, according to the U.S. Customs and Immigration Enforcement Agency, and according to the U.S. Border Patrol, isn't a need for the fixed fortifications or even a need for more agents. It's an issue that they can catch all the guys they want to, or they can catch all the immigrants they want to, and they have the manpower to do it. They have the technology to do it. The issue, as according to them anyway, and according to their unions, is there are not enough immigration judges to send these people back. And even when you do send them back, some of these countries won't even take their own citizens back. In the case of Brazil, Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador, they have the right to refuse to accept these people back. And some of them have. But the problem still becomes there's not enough judges to prosecute these people or to oversee these cases. And that's not a problem for the Homeland Security Secretary. It's actually a problem for the United States Senate. They appoint federal judges. So why aren't the judges there? I have to keep asking this, and that's not a Republican or a Democrat issue. That's a U.S. Senate issue. And yes, it's run by Republicans and Democrats, but why haven't they approved the judges? My understanding is every administration since the Reagan administration has put forward judges. They just haven't been put through. Um, if you don't have the judges to follow up and finish off the cases that the law enforcement agents are bringing to them and that the U.S. Attorney's Office is bringing to them, what are you supposed to do? What I really find offensive, though, and I say this as a parent who's lost not one but two children. One of them has nothing to do with any kind of political thing at all, but one of them does have something to do with it. My oldest son, Jonathan, passed away from a drug overdose. Drugs that somehow got into this country and were given to him by somebody who, from what I understand anyway, was not from this country. Here's my question. Why does Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, keep bringing up this poor girl who was murdered in Georgia? Yes, by an immigrant. But why does she keep making this family suffer by acting like she's fighting for something? Because she's really not. And if she was fighting for a good cause, why isn't she advocating for the Senate to push through some of these judges so that U.S. law enforcement can do what they're supposed to do and keep these people out? I'm not understanding. Maybe it's a disconnect here. Maybe I'm just the idiot. I don't know. But my understanding is U.S. law enforcement is tasked with enforcing U.S. law. and in this case, U.S. immigration law. And when they catch these people and they put them into the system, which they're required to do by law, and the U.S. attorney forwards it up to a court for them to see it, and these people end up on a temporary release because there's not enough judges to push the cases through fast enough because of the backlog that's there, why aren't you solving that problem? Why are we having to fight this issue all the time? And why are you going after a man who has literally gone out on TV, from what I could see anyway, at least 40 separate times and said they need these judges and not supporting him? Instead, you're trying to get rid of him. I'm not understanding something here. And maybe the good congresswoman from Georgia can explain this to me. But the only thing I see, in all honesty, is her causing so much divisiveness that she is actually a part of the problem. She has literally, unknowingly, and I hope history holds her accountable for it at some point, caused all of the problems or encouraged them in such a way that it is distracted from everything Congress could possibly do to protect us as Americans. In the last year alone, she has requested the ouster of the Speaker of the House, not once, but twice. She has literally gotten a U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security impeached or caused it to occur. She has berated people, insulted people, mocked people, and by the way, most of her facts are incorrect. I don't think she knows what she's doing. I think she's an embarrassment to Congress. I think she's an embarrassment to the American people. And honestly, I wish she would just get the hell out of Congress. She doesn't belong there. If we cannot have simple discussions and come to a resolution as a people, we will never fix our problems. And honestly, I don't think we could ever agree to disagree or ever fix our problems as long as people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are in Congress. Now, I say all of this knowing that she is only a representative of a small district in Georgia, representing maybe 100,000 people. I don't know what the population is in her district, but and she has no authority to vote for anything as far as judges go because the U.S. Senate handles that, not the U.S. House of Representatives. But she doesn't support other issues that need to be addressed also and that we need to move forward. And honestly, I think she's actually hampering the defense of our country and weakening it as a result. She's an embarrassment, she's a humiliation, and she's a stain on our country. Again, I have no skin in that game though. I don't vote for her. I'm not in her district. I have no say about her, but I do have ears, I do have a brain, and I have eyes. And again, I tend to repeat what I happen to hear, see, and think. So that's my view. Has nothing to do with her as a person. I don't know her. Has nothing to do with her, honestly, as anything. I just don't think she's a good politician. I don't think she's good at what she does. And I think she's hampering the entire process of our country working. If we want true immigration reform, we need to have serious people in those positions that can affect those serious changes. We need to engage with our partners, such as Mexico, in order to control the immigration crisis, because the immigration crisis doesn't just affect Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, or the rest of the country for that matter. It affects all of us. It affects Mexico even. And we can't solve this problem because those immigrants, until they get into this country, come through Mexico. The Mexican president was on 60 Minutes not too long ago, and he sat there and said he was willing to engage with people of serious nature and stature in this country, but he didn't want to be disrespected, and he didn't want his country to be disrespected. And in an ironic twist, he actually sat there and said that even President Trump and President Biden both dealt with him very respectfully and very politely, and he was willing to work with those people. But you know what? The President of the United States has no authority about judges being approved, nor can they do anything without the support and consent of Congress. And that is never going to happen as long as people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are in office. Funny thing is, I used to say that about House Speaker Mike Johnson also. But I think he's gotten there and he's realized he needs bipartisan support to A, keep his job, B, get anything done through Congress at all, and C, to function. At the end of the day, this has been the most ineffective Congress in the history of the country. We will never, ever get anywhere if we cannot work together. We're all in this. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, it doesn't matter. You want to defend the country? Put serious people there to resolve the issues. If not, please leave. We don't have time for it, nor does anybody else. It's my thought for the day. Have a good day, guys.